We've been seeing a lot of developments in the fixed broadband area as demand for fast and reliable connectivity has been skyrocketing following the pandemic. Increased demand has also been driven by efforts by global companies to digitally transform their operations and to be more agile. To talk more about the market and the specific challenges of cable operators, I'm delighted to be joined by Geert Heyninck, the Vice President of Broadband Networks at Nokia. So, first off, the cable industry has successfully met the market needs for decades, but it seems cable operators are facing a strong competitive challenge from fiber network providers. How would you describe the challenges they're facing?
Well, it's very clear that cable operators are indeed being challenged by fiber operators. And not just the traditional telecom operators we are talking about, but also the altnets, regional operators, neutral hosts, even utility companies. Over the last couple of years, cable operators have been doing quite well in addressing the needs of their customers. They look at the bandwidth and they use techniques like node splits, like a new DOCSIS standard, things like this. Now we are a bit coming towards a much more challenging point. If you really want to address the next level of speeds in a cable network, basically you need to go deeper fiber, you need to introduce new nodes, you need to potentially even upgrade amplifiers, splitters, you need to have new cable modems. All of this is quite costly and time consuming. And the only thing that you achieve with all those investments that you're doing over time is basically introducing a speed which is 10 gigabit per second downstream, 6 gigabit per second upstream at the best. If you compare this with fiber operators, they are doing the investment on the physical infrastructure once, and then based on, for instance, a line card from Nokia, they can deliver a 2.5 gigabit per second service, 10 gigabit per second service, 25 gigabit per second service. So very easily, they can upgrade the capacity of the network with a factor 10. And this is obviously something which is challenging cable operators.
And are you seeing cable operators making the move to fiber?
So when I'm talking to cable operators, it is very clear that all of them are convinced that fiber is the final step. If you think about fiber and the coax networks, fiber is basically beating coax in each and every aspect, whether it's speed, latency, operational cost, power efficiency. So all those aspects are basically in favor of fiber. So it's very clear that over time, to remain competitive, cable operators will need to move to fiber. If I look at my own customer base, today we are having 50 cable operators who are using fiber in some part of the network. Now, if you look at cable network, and when you talk about greenfield deployment, it's a no-brainer. Most of the cable operators are basically using fiber in order to address the greenfield. When you talk about brownfield, this is a bit more challenging because it really depends on what is the topology of the network, what is the need for speed of your customers, and what is competition doing, because to a large extent, competition is driving what you need to do. Now, even those customers, and let me give a couple of examples of the way cable operators are evolving towards a fiber network, even in those brownfield situations. Some of the cable operators are focusing fiber deployment for symmetrical high-speed enterprise services. So they're rolling out the fiber to address those business opportunities, which comes with a high revenue. And as they are passing by with certain residential customers, they are connecting those residential customers as well towards that fiber network. So as a consequence, they are creating bubbles within their brownfield where they are addressing both business as well as residential customers. Some other customers, like for instance in the United Group in the southeast of Europe, they are leveraging the investment in fiber to leapfrog competition. So they are in 7 countries in that region, are serving millions of residential users and business customers with XGS-PON, and they are the first in that region to do so. When you look at my traditional customer base, they are basically rolling out a complete passive optical network outside plant, and they're putting electronics on the side. Cable operators are more used towards an approach where they are putting some electronics into the field. And for that purpose, we have introduced a sealed remote OLT, which is much more matching the traditional way for cable operators to operate into their network. So we do need to come with dedicated solutions for cable operators, which we are doing.
And as we know, cable upgrades are investment heavy, but so is the deployment of a new fiber network. What should cable operators consider when evaluating the move?
Well, first of all, I would really recommend, if you do the investment in fiber, that you go to the latest technology, because this is a way that you can differentiate from competition and you can leapfrog competition. So rather than being challenged by the fiber operators, you really become a challenger in this domain. And this is particularly true because the level of investment that you need to do on the active equipment is very small compared to the level of investment that you need to do in the outside plant. Secondly, fiber really gives a couple of opportunities that you can't deliver on top of a cable network. Let's look at the very fast-growing enterprise segment, where there is a real demand for a high-capacity symmetrical bandwidth. That is something that you can deliver on a fiber broadband infrastructure. According to Analysys Mason, the SME market will basically grow to 75% based on fiber broadband. So that whole evolution is 75% of the SME market will be using fiber broadband to access the network. This represents a doubling of the revenue in this specific segment towards 2026. If you have a single fiber and you only serve residentials on top of the single fiber, you can double the revenue if you only add 3 enterprises. So very, very high revenue. Another example I can give is linked to the mobile side. If you think about mobile, it is about towers, cells that you need to connect to the core of the network. And between this, there comes transport. It has been shown that fiber broadband is actually reducing the total TCO of this transport network with 50%, which gives you a very effective way of connecting the towers towards the core. As you are moving towards a densification of 5G, as you are adding new network elements, this will be instrumental in order to reduce in a significant way your TCO of a mobile network. This is a capability that you can leverage on a fiber broadband network either for your own mobile network, or you can offer this as a wholesale service towards other telcos that are offering mobile connectivity. More and more, when you look at fiber broadband, this is considered a utility like you have electricity, like you have water. And it is very important that this utility is really being reachable and accessible by each and everybody in the country. As you see this as a utility, the investment profile is changing in this infrastructure. You have different investors like pension funds who are looking at a real long-term investment with a secured return on investment, and fiber access becomes part of it. As it is seen as a utility, also governments becomes increasingly concerned that each and every one has access to this utility. And hence you start seeing some investment programs to make sure that also the rural areas are being addressed. To give you one example, in North America, in the USA, there is a significant investment, which we call BEAD funding, which is set up by the Biden administration, which is an investment of over 40 billion within broadband fiber deployment. So this is really to address the underserved regions with fiber broadband. Within Nokia, we have developed solutions, dedicated solutions for a rural footprint, as well as blueprints, the way you should deploy. At the same time, we are partnering with broadband.money, who is identifying the different grant opportunities and is helping operators, regional operators like cable operators, is helping them to really apply for the funding. So also this is a key evolution which is happening and which allows to invest in fiber. So I would basically say fiber is not just about technology, but it really is a golden business opportunity.
Indeed, a lot of interesting developments and a lot of challenges are happening in the broadband market, and we'll keep following the area closely. Geert, thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.